First and foremost, before I even get this video started, I want to give all praise and honors to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash, double honors, and to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom, Labukariam Shah, Yasharala, to the elect of the nation of Israel. And peace and salutations also to the elect lady and your children. All right, first and foremost, I'm starting at Matthew 24. I'm going back through Matthew 24, and because this is the times we living in, anybody who is aware of anything that's going on right now knows that the time is short. Esau Edom knows that his time is short, and he's about to come down with great wrath. As you can see, the moves being planned and made by DJ Trump, DJ T, just, was it yesterday or day before yesterday? They had a big meeting in which more or less seems as though, they're getting ready to come down with great wrath on, the American people. But we know, the elder apostles have been speaking on this for some time. And the brothers, the likewise doctrine have also been teaching on it, that great wrath is coming. We see the signs of the times. We see what time it is. We can discern what time it is and the time that we're living in. Often all we're doing is trickling world events through the filter of the scriptures, as it's called for the men of the Lord to do. And so being in obedience to our Adawan, Yahweh Shai, we understand that the ministry of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai is the ministry of prophecy, and we are continuing to prophesy against the downfall of this wicked, world, and the ways it's being ruled by Esau Edom, and that's basically what the elder apostles and all the brethren, the bishops, have been doing down through the years, just giving it clear and, uncut, straight from what the scriptures say, But today is the day of atonement. So as we are afflicting our souls, fasting and praying, asking for forgiveness, asking for guidance, really just being earnest and sincere with Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, because we know that the days that are coming are dark days ahead, and we understand that, if Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai is not dealing with you, there really ain't no way that you're going to really make it out. Like, something's going to happen. A great time of temptation is coming, the hour of temptation, in which is going to come on the whole world. And everyone is going to feel it, They already said, they trying to roll out this digital ID thing in the UK, which, we know is, basically more of the same gradually getting to the point where, eventually they're going to issue and mandate the MOTB, and make it mandatory for everybody to take it to buy or sell. Well, the UK has got the jump on America right now with that, and being as though they're rolling out after their next parliamentary sessions, that they're going to be issuing mandatory digital identification, in which case, I'm sure that the brothers of GMS that are in the UK, the scattered elect, you know, all, all over, Europe, wherever it is that Yahweh has scattered us, we say the speckled bird, that live among the heathen, that may even look like the heathen, but are Israelites. Those brothers are gonna be the first going through that. I'm sure they're gonna be doing videos about how it's going and what all is happening. But there's massive upheaval. You see it in the world, all over the place. There's massive upheavals. There's massive, protests, not just in America, in all nations. In France is protesting against their government because they figured out that, both sides of their parliament and both the political, and the political right and left, or Democrats or Republicans, and their government setup has been, basically plundering them over the years, and they're fighting back. And then you got protests happening in Nepal, against the government. There's protests happening in was it what they say? I think the Philippines, where overnight I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's in the Philippines, or is it Vietnam? I believe it's either the Philippines or Vietnam. Anyway, overnight, the government basically, through the central bankers, the elite bankers, have tried to mandate, just like in China, the social credit system, but they placed a hold on $86 trillion or $86 billion, something like that, of the nation's, the citizens' banking or funds, or money, So all their bank accounts is frozen as they're trying to upend the old system of banking and money and currency, and get it transferred over to this new system, which is a digital system, for tracking and control purposes, which brings me back to what the beloved Elder Apostle Tahar was speaking on, with digital currency. And I'm a land back off of what he was talking about with the digital currency. Is like he was talking about the Weimar Republic, in which, you had situations where, because it's a digital currency, and because the digital currency, the value can change at, a second's notice. You have a situation where you'll sit down to dinner, as the other apostle was saying. You'll sit down to dinner to eat, a meal, and by the time you sit down, you thinking that the meal is going to cost one amount. It might cost $100, but there's no dollar amount on the menus. So you sitting down, you thinking it's going to cost one thing. By the time you get up and go pay for it, it costs, an exorbitant amount more. So you sit down to a meal that you thought was going to be $100. Now it's $500. By the time you get up and pay for it, same thing with going in the store and buying something, making a purchase. This is why that whole digital thing, from the financial standpoint of it, is like, people don't really understand, like, the reason that they're pushing for this digital currency is because the golden city is ceased. How hath the oppressor ceased? How hath the golden city ceased? The Babylon is fallen. The American dollar is going ever and ever the way of the dodo bird. It's growing weaker and weaker and weaker over time internationally, and now I think now people are really going to start feeling it on the domestic side, because most Americans don't travel a lot. Some have passports, most don't. I think they say something like 75 to 85% of American people don't really travel. So, they don't travel internationally anyway. So, internationally, the dollar is like worthless. People keep saying, the price hikes on this and that, at the grocery store, at the gas pump, at the this place, at the that. Everything is so expensive, goods and services. But people are not taking into account that it's not that the services or the goods are costing more. It's that with these tariffs that DJT is issued, the tariffs have to be paid by the importation company, the company that's importing the goods, because he's doing international tariffs on everything coming from China, everything coming from overseas. The importer of those goods is the one that pays the tariff. So the companies themselves, they have insurance. So what are they going to do? They're going to pass off the tariffs to the consumer, and that's what's happening. So you're starting to see, surely the sign of the times that the writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. It's continuing to fall. And the elder apostles and likewise the brothers that likewise have the 144% true doctrine. We are continuing to be a part of the ministry of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Like I said, it's the ministry of prophecy, and we are prophesying the downfall of this wicked regime in this wicked world, that's controlled by the small hats and the high ranking elite Edomites, Esau, Edom, or the Amalekites. So, but I'm gonna get straight to the scripture right now. This is Matthew 24, and I'm gonna go through Matthew 24. I'm gonna read 24 and 25 because this was the spirit that this was on my heart, because I believe the brother Yawataza had done a video also, and last night I was actually in the bed, and the brother Yawataza Ina had a video on. I think he from the camp out in California, and I think the Bay Area. He's either the Bay Area or the it might be like Orange County, Los Angeles area. But he did a video. He put a video out, and I didn't even know that the video was running. But last night the spirit wouldn't allow me to sleep. The spirit kept on saying that name in my ear, Yawataza, Yawataza. I kept on hearing Yawataza, 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 and I got up. I had the phone near me. It was on the charger, and I had my headphones. I put my headphones on. I'm searching because I'm already subscribed to all the brothers GMS their sites on YouTube, their channels. So I flipped to my subscriptions, and I'm looking at all the channels on there, and I'm looking at Yabataza's channel, and he did a video earlier that day, and then he did a second video at night, and this was it was kind of like both a warning, and it was like to keep you centered and focused. But it was dealing with Matthew 25, but I'm also gonna read Matthew 24 because Matthew 24. When I got up this morning, just the way things are going, you got all the government stuff going on with that. Now they DJT has got the government shut down, so a lot of them federal workers is working for free, and it's really going to jack up everything with businesses because a lot of stuff is not going to get done. So, but yeah, this is the times we living in. We know it's the last days. We not so much wrapped up in the carnal sense of what we gonna do, what we gonna eat, what we gonna if you trusting in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, you trusting in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to have you. You know, he knows who's a his. He knows how to provide for us. You know, when it's time, like I be thinking all the time. I be on the plantation all the time, and I be thinking like to myself, like eventually it's going to be time for me to cut ties, because either they going to try to make that MOTB mandatory, and they going to say, hey, look, you can't get paid unless you take this MOTB. You know, you got to go to your local chipping station, and then, you know, for some it may be that they doing it right there on site at the job. But I'm saying that to say this: we don't value anything. You know, we at that time we're gonna be like pilgrims in the earth. You know, we don't value the things of this world, the carnal things of this world, whether it's houses, cars, you know, anything like that. You know, Yahweh Shai provides. I mean, it says in the scriptures that, you know, if you know, he clothes the sparrows, you know, and he erased even the flowers of the field are arrayed, you know, dressed, you know, they even better than King Solomon, roughly paraphrasing, even better than King Solomon was arrayed, you know. Yahweh arrays the flowers of the field, you know, roughly paraphrasing. But even so, if he does that for the flowers of the field and the sparrows, you know, the grass that grows up and then withers in the evening, how much more are we worth to him, you know? How much more will he provide for us, you know? And so that's what you have to keep your trust and have your faith in Yahweh Shai to provide no matter what, you know. Right now things are, you know, we see it progressively getting worse, but things aren't as bad as they're going to get. But still, even still, during that time, like I said, we're gonna have to be pilgrims in the earth, you know. You may be someplace for a little while, and then you may have to move, you know. You may have to, you know, stay at one place. The Spirit may lead you to be at one place for a little while, and then the Spirit may say, hey, it's time for you to get up and go. You know, I need you to go this place. I need you to go that place. So right now is the time where, you know, what's it, Psalm 2? Psalm 12? 2:12? Kiss the Son. Yeah. Kiss the Son. Yeah. While he may be found, you know. Now's the time to get closer to Yahweh Shai, you know, and to really, you know, press in and get into this word, you know, because rough days are coming, and if Yahweh Shai ain't dealing with you, hey man, you might fall by the wayside. You know, the 2/3, you know, they not really caring about what's going on. Most of the 2/3 of dudes I be at work with, you know, and it's gotten to the point where, you know, I you know, not everything is for everybody, but if you, you know, want to introduce your faith to other people, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but at this point with me, people are so set in their ways. Even the guys that I'm on the job with, you know, they stuck in their ways. They don't want to talk about, you know, most of them don't even want to talk about world events. They more or less want to talk about either gambling, you know, whatever whoredoms they committing with, you know, this one and that one, or, you know, they want to talk sports, you know. They'll talk that all day, you know. Plenty of bread and circus, you know, scripted bread and circus, NFL draft, who's doing what in the league, this, that, and the other thing, you know. They'll talk all that, you know, but you try to open up this word and open up the insight into what's happening by filtering what's going on in the world through the scriptures, and they say, you know, because they don't believe, they don't have any faith, you know. If they don't have any faith, they can't please the Father, they can't please Yahweh, you know. So, you know, but yeah, but I'm gonna read Matthew 24. And Yahweh Shai went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples, his Talmudim, came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See ye be not troubled. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Come. And we know that saying in verse 7, nation rising against nation and kingdom against kingdom, it's not just talking about like the nations of the world. It's also talking about the nations as far as like whether it's the Edomites, the Moabites, the nations, like the table of nations in Genesis, 10. The nations, the 18 nations from the beginning of creation that Yahweh separated, and of course we know that he separated the land unto the nations based on the number of the people of Yasharallah, the nation of Israel. So he had us in mind first. We got the choices land, but then the other nations were, scattered where he ordained for them to be. But I want to go on a tangent, but and that in 7, that's what that means. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes. And we see that there's famines and pestilences, but there will be more. There's going to be more here. As we know, we already seen what happened with COVID-19, with them forcing us to try to get the shot or try to get the jab, and earthquakes in diverse places. And I think this year alone, they've had more earthquakes in more places on the earth than at any other time in recorded history. So you know that this is really, the time that Yahushua speaking of. But he's saying all these things are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up. And although all these things are the beginning of sorrows, period, right? Then in verse 9 it says, Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Come. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Come. We see that time is quite clearly coming into view, because if we look at what's going on right now, like I said, DJT just had a meeting in which he's trying to get the military to acquiesce to his will and to what he wants to do domestically by bringing war to the people of America. And basically, it's more or less because, there's a certain demographic of people that he wants to get at, or wants to be able to get at, but he has to have what they call plausible deniability. So basically, they're gonna create the chaos. Oh, but that's the Hegelian dialectic. Sorry, plausible deniability is used somewhat in the same way, except for what they're trying to do is they're trying to create they have an excuse through, whether it be through ICE or the immigration crisis or what have you, to go into all these cities. And now we see, even now, they have a ICE agency app in which they can scan your face, immediately, and they'll tell them, whether you have, unpaid parking tickets, revoked license, anything like that, any excuse to try to, arrest people, usher these people into these these basically what's going to be like internment camps in the near future. Uh, so I mean, we know the elder apostles have been saying these things were coming for years, and when it finally does come, it's gonna be like a aha type moment. But most people, I know that like the 2/3 are not gonna be prepared at all, because if you're not trying to get into these scriptures and get closer to Yahweh Shai, and you're not going to be able to endure unto the end, man. And he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So you got to be able to endure unto the end. So, and it's going to be a lot of trying times. I'm not, I, no one is looking forward to being in Jacob's trouble. No one is looking forward to it. But the men of the Lord that's really trying to, that are sincere, he going to provide for us. Like, he going to provide for his men. Yahweh Shai know his men. He knows his 1/3. He knows his elect. He knows his. He definitely knows his 144,000 overseers. So he knows his prophets. So, you know, we will be provided for. There's going to be some uncomfortable situations. There's going to be some uncomfortable and trying times, but he's going to provide for us. Even during, as verse 9, Matthew 24 says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you. And that may be the lot for some brothers, it may be the lot for some brothers to go out as martyrs. It may be some brothers' lots to endure all the way to the end and fight all the way into the end. It may be some brothers' lots to, eventually be taken up in the ships, when the Father ship comes, and that mountain of Yahweh comes, it may be some brothers' lots to be taken up, be caught up, swooped out of here, out of harm's way, right before the missiles and the laser fire ensue, and tear Babylon up from sea to shining sea, because that's what's prophesied, and that's what's in the scriptures, and that's what will come to pass. The word of the Lord is not slack, as some people count it, But verse 10, and then shall many be offended. And this is one thing, like, there's going to be a time in which, they may start saying that, hey, because we already seen that they talking about handling domestic insurrections. They're going to start pointing fingers, calling certain people terrorists, you know. They're going to be saying some people are risks, and they're gonna make people out to be, who they coming after, but they're gonna make people out to be something that they're not. And on top of it, with all the deception with the artificial intelligence and all the deception that can be had with all these deep fakes and all this type of stuff, every day that stuff is getting a little bit, more edgier and better, and so eventually they'll have situations where they'll be showing, I'm sure they'll be showing replay reels of people doing things, or them, using the AI to make it look like people is doing things that they haven't done, and continue to fool the masses so much, in fact, that the majority of people will be so heavily against the people that they're saying are doing these things that they may consider them to be, a risk, or enemies. But yeah, verse 10, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, or the Shabbat day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So that's just showing you how, Yahushua told us from the beginning how bad things are going to get, and it's getting that way. It's starting to heat up, and it's going to be all over the world. Now when they really start lobbing the accusations, and they start doing that domestic insurrection quelling and things like that, it's not going to be a far off thing. It's going to be outside your front door type thing. If you live in the city, it's going to be in the city. It's going to be troops on the street. It's going to be insurrectionists. It's going to be probably paid or actors, some of them, and then others will be agents that will be, inciting and doing things probably on purpose. But we just have to endure until the end. That's all we can do. We have to endure until the end. It's going to be great tribulation, but yeah. Verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. And this is what's going on even now, because you have false prophets even now, talking about, whether it be some of these camps like IUIC, which is pushing a false narrative, first on what the MOTB is, and now some of them brothers that's over in them camps are starting to wake up to, hold on, I think this digital ID thing may be alluding to what Elder Apostles GMS have been talking about. But nevertheless, there's also going to be other false prophets. I actually came into contact with a false prophet that for years, one of his things was always warning people against the camps. the camps don't have nothing for you. The camps don't have nothing for you. Don't go to the camps. And he was a staunch proponent or opposition opponent of GMS and the doctrine that the elder apostles teach. You know, double honors unto the elder apostles of GMS only. And but yeah, he was also a false prophet. And if I had not uh, been under the guidance of the Roach and had not seen the falsehood in his teaching, because he's one of these non-camp Israelite factions that they Yah Israelites. They shorten the name of the Most High. They don't believe that the name of the Most High is only Yahweh. They still use the terms Jesus, Christ, Lord, God. You know, so these people are they're false. You know, and the the ministry, if you can even call it that, was you know, I ain't even gonna put no names out there or anything like that, but yeah, it was a false ministry, and in the end, you know, it was made evidently shown that it was false ministry because this so-called pastor was more interested in heaping unto himself wives and homes and carnal things of this earth, you know, which isn't it's no wonder because I mean even he himself was uh, a Babylonian soldier, so you know he fought for Babylon, you know, so yeah, but yeah, I put all that behind me, all that falsehood behind me, all that gaslighting that they did, and you know, all that was falsehood. They didn't honor the name. They didn't honor the set apart name of Yahweh or his son Yahweh Shai. So you know, I got out of there. You know, I got out of there and haven't looked back since. So. But yeah, I'm thankful that I was able to finally hear what I had been warned against for a long time. And so, what was that? 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. And that's where we're at right now. You know, it seems like it's right at the door, especially when you have, you know, these scientists that look into the sky. They can see with the telescopes. The high level Edomites, they got their eyes out in the sky, and they can see them ships. They can see the ships. But the other day they was talking about there's an anomaly. What they calling it? 31 something. Uh, Alpha 31. I forget what the designation is, but from what it sounds like they can see the fathership coming. You know, it sounds like they can see the fathership. They can see the fleet of chariots. You know, the chariots of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, on their way, and the Edomites are scared because they know that Esau knows that his time is short, and so, like the elder apostles have been saying, this devil is going to come down with great wrath, and we are going to continue to herald these prophecies and continue to speak on it, and you know, just continue to stay rooted in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and be led by the Ruach. And so, where am I at now? It says 35, Matthew 24:35. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Oh, that's 34. Sorry. 35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Salakia. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, and the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord, your Adawan, doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made him ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And you gotta eat the whole roll. It's always the good and the bad. But, verse 48, if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So you really don't want to get caught up in that. You want to stay the course, and make sure that your lamps are trimmed and full with oil. Keep going, because if he come and finds you not doing the work and not doing what he ordained for you to do, then it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. But this is what the brother, as I was talking to, talking about with the Akim, with the Yawataza did a video on, just roughly, briefly, laying back and off of that. he was talking about, he was coming from, it was the Spirit coming from Matthew 25. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps, and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, and to every man according to his several ability. And straightway took his journey. Then he that hath received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. But he that had received 1 and digged in the earth had hid his Adawan's money. And after a long time the Adawan of those servants came and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Adawan, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them the 5 talents more. His Adawan said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Adawan. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Adawan, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Adawan said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Adawan. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Adawan, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have to receive mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. and cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And this is Matthew 25. And this is what the Brother Yavataza was talking about last night. And it's just a stark warning for us to stay rooted and grounded in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and to continue to do the work. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom. I'm going to say Kahala Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, B'Shem Rakak Wadash, Shalom Labakari Shah Yasharala. That is peace to the elect of the nation of Israel. And double honors and blessings unto the apostles, the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom. I'll see you on the next one.